If you've never heard of the Marquee of Death in Marvel, he's probably one of the most overpowered characters that you've never heard of. But if you do know who he is, then you know bro is powerful as fuck. So his name is Clyde Wenchum, and he was the only mutant or really person with any type of power, in fact, to be. And he's from a dimension where it's real life like ours, and comics and Marvel and all that is just fiction. However, with his powers, he was capable of warping reality on a whim, but suffered from mental illness after being beaten by his mother during a reality warping fit. This brain injury affected his grasp on what normal reality should look like, and inspired by the comics he read, he unknowingly brought a number of Marvel characters into his own universe. But not before leaving with them and joining the mainstream Marvel universe or Earth 616. But being deemed too powerful to allow to roam free with an injured psyche, he was hooked up to a machine created by Reed Richards that rendered him permanently in a coma-like state. Sometime in the future though, Clyde was awakened by a group of supervillains and set loose upon the multiverse. He crossed millions of dimensions over billions of years, gaining unimaginable power and killing every living thing he encountered, even cosmic entities, finally becoming the Marquee of Death. Eventually, he returned to Earth 616 in a time before he was released from his coma and set about his business of killing every living thing on the planet. But he was stopped when the Thing released his younger self from imprisonment. The Marquis barely managed to defeat his younger self, but he was weakened enough that the Fantastic Four was able to stop him, but they still needed one of Reed's devices to multiply their powers 1,000,000 times over. Doctor Doom was also his apprentice and the one who killed him. However, it was only after fighting another version of himself, being left so weak he couldn't stand because of the Fantastic Four fighting him with their powers multiplied by 1,000,000. But Doom still needed to plan all of that, as well as training directly under him and doing all of this for millions of years to massively increase his powers, and all just to kill the Marquee of Death. And this is Doctor Doom we're talking about, the guy who, with the right circumstances, takes down the strongest beings in Marvel and shits on the likes of Thanos for fun. But if you really think about it, literally only plot was able to take this man down. But what do you think?